Right before my SATs, my aunt thoughtfully brought me some holiday rice cakes, wishing me luck while I stayed in the dorms to cram. After the first one, I was in so much pain I ended up in the hospital. Meanwhile, my cousin, who'd been frail her whole life, was suddenly rosy-cheeked and full of energy. After the second one, I, who had always been popular, lost the trust of my classmates and was accused by the entire class of stealing the class funds. Meanwhile, my cousin, once a delinquent despised for dating around and skipping school, became beloved by everyone just for giving her leftovers to a poor student. The night before the SATs, my aunt hand-fed me the third rice cake. I, the top student in the school, couldn't remember a single word and turned in a blank exam. Meanwhile, my cousin, who had barely scored a 300 on her last practice test, became the state's top scorer. I was devastated and killed myself. As I lay dying, I heard my cousin whisper over my body, "Don't worry, dear cousin. You can rest in peace now. I'll make good use of your life." When I opened my eyes again, I was back on the day my aunt brought me the rice cakes. "Sarah, sweetie, I know you're busy studying for the SATs and can't come home for the holiday, so I brought you some homemade savory rice cakes. These are for good luck, you know, to help you get a high score. Hurry up and eat." Having lived through it once, I knew these rice cakes held a life-swapping curse. I couldn't eat them. So on instinct, I knocked them to the floor. My aunt gasped, stunned by my action. My cousin Mia stood frozen for a moment before her voice cracked with tears. "Sarah, my mom got up at 5 this morning just to make these for you." It was a gesture from her heart. It's one thing if you're not grateful, or if you think they're beneath you, but you can't just throw them on the ground. At her words, the other students started looking at me strangely, whispering among themselves, "I wish I had some holiday rice cakes. Sarah's aunt came all this way to bring her some, and she doesn't even appreciate it." In my past life, I also thought my aunt was just being kind. Touched, I ate the rice cakes without a second thought. I never imagined they would end up costing me my life. After the first one, my body was racked with pain, and I was rushed to the hospital. I, who had always had perfect health reports, was told I had ovarian cancer and didn't have long to live. But in those same few days, my cousin, who had been practically given a death sentence for renal cancer, made a miraculous recovery. After the second one, I, who was once so popular, was suddenly ostracized. My classmates avoided me. When the class funds went missing, everyone, without any proof, decided I was the thief and demanded I pay it back. But I had never even seen the money, and my own allowance was so tight. Where would I get the money to repay it? I demanded they check the security cameras to prove my innocence, but my so-called friends wouldn't listen or give me a chance to defend myself. They just mocked me. Who in this class needs money? Only a poor orphan charity case like you would be desperate enough to steal. Even my homeroom teacher, who had always doted on me, did a complete 180. He reported the incident to the school, and I was given a formal demerit on my permanent record. Walking through the halls, I could hear the whispers. "Is that the girl from the other class who stole the money? I heard she's top of her grade too. So shameless. Her grades are probably fake. Let's go, just looking at her is bad luck." When I was completely alone, my cousin Mia stepped forward to defend me. "My cousin is not a thief. I've seen her at the GYN clinic recently. She must have stolen the money because she couldn't afford her medical treatments." Her righteous words made the other students admire her, but they despised me even more, assuming I had some kind of dirty disease. The bullying and isolation sent me into a deep depression. I couldn't even move. Lying in bed, my aunt fed me the third rice cake. The next day in the exam hall, my mind was a total blank. I turned in an empty test. On the day scores were released, my aunt's house was decorated for a huge party celebrating Mia becoming the state's top scorer, with colleges fighting to recruit her. I stared at my score of 0, my world crumbling. Some busybody dug up my score and started a rumor that my 3 years of being number 1 were all thanks to cheating. The story blew up online, and I was cyberbullied relentlessly. Under pressure, the school expelled me. My spirit was completely broken. I jumped from a tall building. Everyone said I got what I deserved. Only my cousin came to collect my body. Mia looked at my shattered remains and smiled. "Cousin, did you think my mom's rice cakes were free? You ate them, so you have to pay the price. You enjoyed that wonderful life for 18 years. From now on, it's all mine. Now that fate has given me a second chance, I won't let history repeat itself. So, I didn't give my aunt and cousin another chance to play the victim. I squeezed out a few tears of my own. Aunt Carol, I'm so sorry. I was just so tired from studying, I didn't have a good grip on it. Please don't be upset. I'll eat it right now. Ignoring the dirt, I picked up a piece and ate it, my eyes welling with tears. Aunt Carol, I haven't had rice cakes this delicious since my parents passed away 10 years ago. Why am I suddenly so itchy? My deskmate, Lily, saw my face swelling up and cried out. Sarah, what's wrong? Your face is so swollen. Another classmate immediately chimed in. That looks like an allergic reaction. I have some allergy medicine here, take it. After taking the medicine, I finally started to feel normal again. Lily picked up one of the rice cakes and examined it closely. There are mushrooms in here. There's more mushroom than meat. Aunt Carol looked confused. What's wrong with mushrooms? They're delicious. Lily scoffed. Even I know Sarah is severely allergic to mushrooms. And you, her supposedly loving aunt, had no idea? For my aunt, mushrooms were a delicacy. For me, they were a deadly poison. The students around us started whispering again. And here I thought she was such a caring aunt. It's all an act. So fake. She almost killed Sarah. Unbelievable. My aunt and cousin's faces turned red with humiliation, and they shot me a look filled with even more venom. But when they saw that I had, in fact, eaten the rice cake, that venom turned into a look of smug satisfaction. After I was sure they were gone, I took out a napkin and spit out the few bites I'd swallowed. Holding the rest of the rice cake, I walked out onto the street. I saw a little monkey, tied up for a street performance, staring intently at the food in my hand. I smiled and beckoned it over. The next morning, Mia walked into the classroom, glowing with health. It seemed her illness was cured. She probably thought the rice cake had worked its magic on me, because even though we'd had a huge fight yesterday, here she was, eagerly bringing me another one. Sarah, have a rice cake. It's your favorite, the salted egg yolk kind. Just then, the results of our final SAT practice exam were posted. Unsurprisingly, I was first in the school. Mia was dead last. Lily, who couldn't stand Mia's fake sincerity, clicked her tongue. Mia, if you put half the effort you spend bringing your cousin rice cakes into your studies, you might be tied for first place with her. Mia obviously caught the sarcasm and shot back. Oh, so being first in the school is such a big deal? You're so sheltered. That's probably the peak of your entire life, lol. Lily rolled her eyes dramatically. If you're so jealous, just say so. Since you think being number one is no big deal, why don't you try it? Mia's eyes flashed with anger. Her friend, Chelsea, quickly changed the subject. Mia, you're looking so much better today. Are you all better? Mia huffed and admired her newly rosy complexion in a compact mirror. Of course. My mom says I was born with a lucky star. A little sickness like that is nothing. With my luck, forget number one in the school. I could be the top scorer in the whole state, easy. Lily burst out laughing. You? Top in the state? Sarah could skip 3 subjects and still score higher than your total for all 6. The other students snickered along with her. I silently took a bite of the rice cake and chewed it for a few seconds. Seeing me eat it, Mia gave me a knowing smile. Just you wait. When the real SAT scores come out, I'm going to make you all eat your words. Of course, I fed this second rice cake to the monkey too. During class that afternoon, Mia, sitting in front of me, couldn't stop scratching herself. When she scratched her head, her hair fell out in clumps. Lily, her view blocked by Mia's fidgeting, grumbled. Mia, have you got fleas or something? You keep scratching. Are you trying to block the blackboard on purpose? The teacher at the front of the class had noticed it too. Mia, if you don't want to learn, others do. If you disrupt the class again, you can go study in the principal's office. Mia shrank back like a quail. I'm not doing it on purpose. I'm just really itchy. She continued to scratch all over. The teacher didn't believe her, thinking she was just trying to get attention. As he was about to pull her out of her seat, her deskmate screamed, "Oh my God, there are so many bugs. Mia, did you fall into a sewer? You're attracting bugs. That's so disgusting." The teacher jumped back, startled. I could see the little bugs on her now. They were fleas and blood-sucking mites, the kind that love to live on monkeys. It seemed her life swap with the monkey had been a success. Fleas hopped through her hair and across her skin, so dense they looked like 1,000 giant moving pores. Mites clung to her skin, chewing out red patches. The spots on her head were even starting to go bald. Lily broke out in goosebumps and pulled me away. Whoa, I can't believe people still get fleas these days. How unhygienic can you be? Mia's deskmate grabbed the teacher's arm, nearly in tears. Teacher, fleas can spread. I don't want to sit next to her anymore. The teacher's face darkened. He pointed to the door. Mia, go call your mom to pick you up and take you home for a bath. The SATs are right around the corner, don't disrupt your classmates. Mia was still scratching frantically, but under the teacher's stern gaze, she had no choice but to leave. As she left, she gave me a suspicious look. After class, I ran into Mia in the stairwell. Her body was covered in bloody scratches from her own nails, a horrifying sight. When she saw me, she gritted her teeth. Sarah, have you not had money for a shower or clean clothes lately? I can give you money to go to the public bathhouse, okay? I pinched my nose, pretending to be disgusted. Mia, I'm not like you. I wash my hair and shower every single day. Mia kept scratching, muttering to herself, impossible, this shouldn't be happening. She had no idea this was only the beginning. When I returned from lunch, Mia was already waiting by my desk. As soon as I arrived, she yelled, "Everyone, come look. What's this in Sarah's bag?" Classmates quickly gathered around and saw a huge wad of cash in my backpack. It was the $1,000 from the class fund that had just gone missing that morning. The class president was furious. Sarah, and you're an honor student. How could you do something like this? I'm telling our homeroom teacher right now. Lily stood in front of me. You're going to convict her without even checking the security footage? Who knows? Maybe the real thief heard we were going to check bags and planted it on someone else to cover their tracks. The class president shot us a look. Everyone in this class knows Sarah's the poor one. She can't even afford to buy meat in the cafeteria. Who else would steal the money? Besides, the money was found in her bag. Do we even need to check the cameras? A student on cleanup duty added, yeah, during the break before the money was reported missing, I was cleaning up and the only person I saw come in or out of the classroom was Sarah. The class president snorted. We have a witness and physical evidence. What else is there to say? Mia took my hand, her voice dripping with false sincerity. Sarah, just because you're poor doesn't mean you have to stoop so low. If you're having trouble, you can talk to me. You don't have to steal from everyone. Just then, my Aunt Carol, who had come to take Mia home for her bath, appeared. She took my hand and said gravely, Sarah, you have to be an honest person. You can't be a petty thief. Remember that time you stole? Well, let's not talk about that. When the crowd heard my own aunt say that, they were convinced I was a thief. Let's go tell the homeroom teacher. Someone like you shouldn't be an honor student. I already knew Mia would try to frame me, just like last time. I just didn't expect her to be so bold as to stuff all the money directly into my bag. But that was fine. The bigger her move, the bigger the mistake. So I didn't rush to defend myself. Instead, I steered the conversation toward my real goal. Aunt Carol, I really didn't steal the money. But $50 a month is just not enough to live on. You can ask my classmates how frugal I have to be. You'll know I'm not lying to get more money out of you. So, can you please raise my allowance by $200 next month? The inheritance my parents left with you earns tens of thousands a month in interest. I think you can afford $500 a month, right? My classmates were stunned. The interest alone is tens of thousands a month, and she only gives Sarah $50? I always thought she was an orphan. That's why she was so poor. $50 a month for a high schooler? Is this a survival show? That explains it. They're cousins, but Mia wears designer clothes every day while Sarah can only afford bread and pickles. After my parents died, their estate was left in the care of my legal guardian, my aunt. I suspected that my aunt and cousin wanted me dead in my past life partly because of that inheritance. Aunt Carol was clearly flustered that I'd been so direct. She stammered, I was just afraid you'd spend it recklessly, dear. You never say anything when you're short on money. One of my more righteous classmates couldn't stand it anymore and shouted, "Give her the money back. Sarah's an adult now. Are you going to keep living off her parents' blood money? Yeah. Give it back. Give it back." Facing the crowd, Aunt Carol gritted her teeth. "Sarah, when we get home, I'll give you back your inheritance." I immediately pulled out the legal agreement I had prepared, but never had a chance to use. "Aunt Carol, you just need to sign this." Forced by the crowd, my aunt signed the papers. Mia bit her lip, unwilling to give up. "But that doesn't change the fact that you're a thief," I said calmly. "Then let's check the security cameras." Everyone agreed. But Mia started to stammer. The camera's been broken for a while. "It won't work." Lily sneered. How convenient that it broke at the most critical moment. We all chipped in to buy that camera to protect our things, and now it's useless. "Mia, you were the one who bought the camera for the class. And you're the one who found the missing money. How did you know exactly where to look?" The class president got the security feed on his phone from our teacher. The footage was perfectly fine, except for the exact time window when the money went missing. That part was gone. This time, without a magic rice cake to swap my popularity to Mia, nobody believed her. Lily glared at her. "You were in charge of buying that camera, Mia. I bet you can make any footage you want just disappear, can't you?" Aunt Carol grabbed Mia and scurried away, but not before shoving one last rice cake into my hand. I left the school, planning to feed the rice cake to the monkey as usual. But before the rice cake could even reach the monkey's mouth, a hand clamped down on my arm. Aunt Carol gripped my arm, her eyes bloodshot, and demanded, "Sarah, I made these rice cakes for you. Why are you feeding them to a monkey?" She stared at me like she wanted to swallow me whole. Mia rushed over and slapped me hard across the face. "My mom worked so hard to make those for you, and you feed them to a monkey? No wonder I've been." She stopped abruptly, realizing she'd said too much. I clutched my cheek and stumbled to the ground. "I'm sorry, Aunt Carol, I didn't mean to. You just gave me so many, and I have stomach problems. I can't eat too much sticky rice. You always told me to be compassionate, didn't you? I saw this poor little monkey was hungry and thirsty, so I thought I'd give him the rice cake. I thought you'd be happy to know that a rice cake you made saved a life." My aunt was trembling with rage. The woman who ran the breakfast stall, who had known me since I was a little girl, couldn't watch anymore. She pressed a few large, savory rice cakes into my aunt's hand. "It's just one rice cake. Why are you hitting a child? Here, I'll replace it for you, all right?" Aunt Carol and Mia finally snapped back to reality, realizing the onlookers were all their neighbors. She couldn't act recklessly, so my aunt forced a smile. "These aren't just any rice cakes. I had them blessed at the temple with your name on them. They'll protect you and help you pass your exams. If you give them to someone else, the curse will bounce back on you." I feigned surprise. "Aunt Carol, these rice cakes are that powerful? They know who their owner is? But you gave them to me. So wouldn't the curse bounce back on you too?" Seeing her threats weren't working, she switched to emotional blackmail. "This was a token of my love for you, Sarah. You shouldn't have wasted it like that. The next ones I bring, you have to eat them all, you hear me?" With that, she snatched the rice cake from the monkey's hands and was about to throw it away. But a starving monkey wasn't about to let its meal get away. It shrieked and leaped onto my aunt's face, its sharp claws immediately leaving bloody scratches on her cheeks. Ack! Ow! Her face was a mess of bleeding cuts, her expression twisted in pain. Mia wanted to help, but the itching all over her body was so intense she couldn't spare a hand. Her frantic scratching made her look just like the frantic little monkey. The neighbors scrambled to catch the monkey. Mia was jumping around and even climbed a tree, and my aunt was on the ground, wailing in agony. It was chaos. After an ambulance took my aunt away, the crowd dispersed. I quietly walked over to the monkey's owner and bought the little creature from him. Mia didn't come to school for the next few days. The night before the SATs, as I was leaving school, I heard a voice call out from across the street. "Sarah, over here." I was overjoyed. I ran across the street. "Uncle Mark, what are you doing back? I thought you were working out of town." My parents were always busy with work, so my uncle raised me. We were very close. In my heart, I always believed he was different from my aunt. I believed my uncle would never, Ever hurt me? He ruffled my hair just like he used to when I was little. It's your Suts. Of course I had to come back and cheer on my little princess. Come on, I'll make you a late-night snack. I hadn't felt the warmth of family since my parents died in that car crash. I couldn't help but nod and follow him. The next morning, the smell of breakfast from the dining room woke me up. My uncle saw me and patted my head. Hurry and sit down. The exam starts at 9, we have to get a move on. I'm just going to make a quick call, okay? In the bowl was my favorite sweet rice pudding, but for some reason, the thought of it made me feel sick. I figured it was just pre-exam nerves. To make sure I was in top condition for the test, I decided not to eat it. Just then, the little monkey, who had been sleeping in his basket under the table, nudged my leg. Remembering he'd never tried anything sweet, I scraped the pudding into his bowl. I was happy to see him gobbling it down. The area outside the testing center was a sea of anxious parents. But even in the crowd, I spotted her immediately, my aunt dressed in a gaudy red dress and golden hairpins, teetering on 7-inch heels. Her bizarre outfit quickly attracted reporters. Ma'am, judging by your celebratory attire, you must be very confident in your child's performance? Facing the cameras, my aunt boasted shamelessly, you should interview me now. Once my daughter is the first one out of that exam hall and becomes the state's top scorer, you'll have to book an appointment to talk to me. Her confidence seemed to convince a few of the younger reporters. One who followed the exams closely smiled and congratulated her. You must be the mother of Sarah, the student who scored first in the city on the last practice exam? Congratulations. My aunt slapped her hand over the reporter's camera lens and rolled her eyes. Congratulations, my foot. Who's Sarah's mother? You have no eye for talent. You'll be stuck interviewing nobodies for the rest of your life. The reporter, rebuffed, walked away. My aunt wrapped her arm around Mia and declared to the cameras, look closely. This is my daughter, this year's state champion. Get a picture of her, and you won't have to worry about your headlines for the rest of the week. Then she joyfully pushed a dazed-looking Mia into the exam hall, waving a little red flag. Mia, do your best. Bring home that state championship for your mom. The reporters just assumed she was one of those parents who'd gone crazy with ambition, exchanged glances and moved on. I thought she was ridiculous. She saw me feed the rice cakes to a monkey, and was still dreaming that her life-swapping plan had worked. Thinking of the monkey, I worried he'd be bored at home. I pulled out my phone and activated the remote control mouse toy I'd left in the house. My little monkey loved chasing that scurrying little mouse. About halfway through the English exam, a commotion erupted in the classroom next to mine. Oh, Aw. What my test paper? Teacher. Get security. Security. After the ruckus, 2 security guards armed with riot gear burst into the next room and dragged someone out. I glanced up just in time to meet Mia's eyes. Seeing me, Mia, who had calmed down, suddenly went berserk and charged at me, so strong that the 2 grown men couldn't hold her back. I quickly rolled up my test paper and kicked her square in the chest. But I still couldn't avoid getting my leg scratched. The security guards took advantage of her being on the ground to pin her down and haul her away. As they dragged her off, Mia was still letting out screeching, monkey-like cries. I found it a little strange. In my past life, I had to eat 3 rice cakes before Mia's soul completely took over my life. But in this life, the monkey only ate 2. How had Mia become so completely like a monkey, to the point where she couldn't even speak? When I left the exam hall, I found Lily waiting excitedly at the gate. The moment she saw me, she rushed over. Sarah, you have no idea what we missed. Luckily, my mom saw the whole thing and told me everything. It was epic. Lily animatedly described what happened with Mia. Mia was, as predicted, the first person to exit the exam hall. From a distance, my aunt couldn't see clearly, but she recognized Mia by her bright red dress. She immediately puffed up with pride, bragging to everyone around her. See that? The first one out is my daughter, this year's state champion. The other parents, not knowing the situation, just nodded along. The reporters who had left earlier swarmed back, afraid to miss the story. Hey, the first student is out. It's only been an hour and a half. That's incredible. Quick, get the camera on her. Student. Look over here. My aunt joyfully stepped in front of the cameras, adjusting her clothes. Get a good shot, that's my daughter. I'm the mother of the state champion. Anyone who wants an interview can get in line. Just as my aunt was basking in the congratulations of the other parents, Mia got closer, and everyone saw that she was being escorted by security. My aunt tried to block them but was stopped by the police maintaining order outside the testing center. The look on her face was worse than if she'd eaten dog crap. You know what's hilarious? Your aunt started screaming that because Mia did so well, some corporation had paid off the police to arrest her and steal her test paper. Lily was bent over laughing. Then the police just shut her down. They said Mia was in the exam hall making monkey noises, running around, and tearing up other students' tests. She's been banned from taking the SATs for 3 years. When your aunt heard banned for 3 years and possible jail time, she fainted and was taken away by an ambulance. Seeing my uncle standing up ahead, I tugged on Lily's sleeve, signaling for her to stop. My uncle still had that gentle smile on his face, as if he wasn't at all concerned about what had happened to his wife and daughter. When I got home, the little monkey, who usually greeted me with excitement, was lying listlessly under the table. Puzzled, I checked the security camera footage from the dining room. My uncle's voice came through the recording. He was smoking, a look of despair on his face I'd never seen before. Yeah, I know she's suspicious of the rice cakes. So I crushed them up and mixed them into that sweet rice pudding for her. She ate it all. Are you sure eating that thing will swap her score to our daughter? It has to be a rice cake? Is that system thing of yours reliable? My uncle had lowered his voice, but I heard him crystal clear. Okay, I believe you. Right now, I'll do anything to get our daughter into college. My hand trembling, I fast-forwarded the video. Damn it, didn't you say this rice cake would work? How did our daughter end up getting arrested? Then, I heard my aunt's all too familiar voice on the other end of the line. It must have been that little bitch. That bitch. She ruined my daughter, and I will never let her get away with it. I have a good luck charm here with a cheat sheet hidden inside. Get Sarah to take it with her. I want her to get caught for cheating. I want her reputation destroyed. Just then, a cool hand rested on my shoulder. Sarah, what are you watching? I whipped around in terror and saw my uncle standing right behind me. In his hand, he was clutching a red good luck charm. In that moment, a wave of pure fear washed over me. I was almost too scared to speak. Thankfully, I'd been wearing headphones while watching the footage, and my body had blocked the screen. My uncle probably didn't realize I knew the truth. He patted my head lovingly. I went to the temple and got you a good luck charm for your exams. Here, take it. I took the charm. Satisfied, my uncle went to make dinner. I took the charm apart and flushed all the tiny cheat sheets down the toilet. I thought about the sweet rice pudding I'd suddenly felt sick over, and had fed to the monkey. A wave of fear washed over me. If I had eaten it without suspicion, the tragedy would have repeated itself. After the fear came an overwhelming despair over the betrayal of family. The idea that my uncle was any different from my aunt was laughable. If the uncle who raised me could betray me like this, who could I possibly trust? I could only rely on myself. That night, I went online and searched for the system my uncle had mentioned. Most of the results were from novels. It seemed ridiculous, but what was more ridiculous than swapping fates? With nothing to lose, I spoke into the empty air. System, I know you're there. But you've seen it, Mia's already lost. Why don't you switch and bind with me instead? Silence. Of course. I felt embarrassed, but I added in a small voice, I don't know what you want, but if you're willing to stop helping Mia hurt me, I'll share everything I get with you. After waiting a long time with no reply, I sulkily went to bed. Ding. Congratulations, host, you have successfully bound to the payback system. I am your exclusive customer service agent, A023, at your service. After my last exam, as I was leaving the testing center, I was predictably stopped by officials from the Department of Education. Sarah, we've received a report that you brought a cheat sheet into the geography portion of your exam. Please come with us for an investigation. Many passing students recognized me, and all of them were shocked. Whoa, the top student in the grade cheated. This is major SAT news. She got over a 700 on the practice test. She's a shoo-in for top scorer. Why would she need to cheat? I cooperated with the search. The officials took apart the good luck charm, but of course, they found nothing. I was released the same day. Having been the city's top student multiple times, I was somewhat well known. The news that I'd been caught cheating spread like wildfire. Some said the officials had found a cheat sheet on me, and my scores for all subjects were voided. Some said I was caught looking at someone else's paper, and was banned from testing for 3 years. Some even pinned all the things Mia had done onto me. I received a lot of concerned messages from classmates during this time, but I didn't reply to any of them. I even had someone else pick up my diploma from the graduation ceremony. So everyone just assumed I had indeed been locked up for cheating. They all sighed with pity. But the truth was, I wasn't hiding. It was a requirement from the payback system. A 023 was a chatterbox, constantly babbling in my head. Host. I know you can defeat a 022's host, your aunt. What we're doing now is a strategic retreat. We let everyone think we've lost, and then we make a triumphant return, and put them all in their place. Once we get enough payback points, we can buy anything from the system store and live our best lives, mwahahaha. Although A023 was noisy, its suggestion was a good one. After all, who knew what kind of trouble my aunt would stir up if she knew I'd done well? Besides, A023 told me the system store had everything, including the life-swapping power-up my aunt had bought. If I could get some power-ups of my own, would I still have to fear being silently destroyed by her? Soon, the day before the scores were released arrived. A 023 switched to a deep, dramatic voice. The time has come. It's our turn to take the stage. Go forth and send out the invitations to your college acceptance party. I booked the party at the biggest hotel in the city. I invited all my remaining relatives, including my aunt and uncle. On the day of the party, my aunt arrived dripping in gold and jewels. She strode in, walking right past the gift table without a second glance. Lily, who I'd asked to help collect gifts, couldn't help but laugh. Aunt Carol, you're dressed so lavishly, but you're not even going to give a $1,000 gift? My aunt looked us up and down and gave a strange smile. Gifts are to congratulate people who actually got in. You too? I think I'll pass. Halfway through the dinner, my other cousin stood up with a glass of wine and announced loudly, "We're halfway through the meal, but we haven't seen our star students' scores yet. Hurry up and show us, so we can all be impressed." She said it cheerfully, but I knew she was just setting me up for a fall. She was banking on the fact that I had gotten a 0 on my SATs, and was just waiting to see me humiliated. I raised my glass in a toast. No rush, no rush. But my aunt pressed on. "Oh, Sarah, don't be so modest. Let us all have a look. If you keep refusing, I might start to think you didn't get in at all. In that case, you should give everyone their money back, so they don't catch your bad luck." Most of the relatives had heard the rumor that I'd gotten a 0 for cheating, and they all started whispering among themselves. Checking the time, I opened the score portal and entered my ID number. My aunt snatched the phone from my hand. Seeing the big fat 0 on the screen, she almost jumped for joy. Just as my aunt was at the peak of her smugness, there was a knock on the banquet hall door. It was my homeroom teacher. He walked in beaming and took my hand, chiding me playfully. "There you are. Why haven't you been answering your phone? The admissions offices from Harvard and Yale have been calling me trying to get a hold of you." Hearing this, my relatives swelled with pride, rushing to offer toasts and congratulations. Every face was beaming. "Sarah, you've brought such honor to our family. You have to tutor your good-for-nothing little cousins during your school breaks." Yes, yes. Only my aunt looked like she was about to faint from rage. "Sarah, how many times have I taught you to be honest? And now you're conspiring with your teacher to lie to everyone? Weren't you caught cheating? Look, your score right here says 0. Harvard and Yale my foot. You don't even blink when you lie." My teacher stopped her with a smile. "Aunt Carol, didn't you know? The top 30 scores in the state aren't displayed. They all show up as 0. I added, with a sickeningly sweet voice, "Aunt Carol, aren't you happy for me? It's okay that Mia didn't get in this year. I can help her study next year, and I'm sure she'll get in. Oh wait, I forgot. Mia's banned from testing, so she can't take it next year. Silly me, always bringing up sore subjects. I should really watch my mouth." My aunt's face was a ghastly shade of pale. The doorway was crowded with reporters and school administrators wanting to take me back to school for a photo op. I was completely surrounded. Ding. Congratulations, host, on achieving a payback milestone. The system store will now be unlocked. 543BE. Hello. Hello. A023? Hello. I called out for A023 in my mind, but all I heard was static. Did my aunt and her system do something? Does she have another plan? A bad feeling started to creep over me. It turned out my sixth sense was right on the money. My aunt took a phone call, and then in front of everyone, she dropped to her knees. Sarah, you have to come with me to see your cousin. The hospital just called. They said Mia isn't going to make it. Her public display put me in an impossible position. It looked like I couldn't avoid this trap. I had to walk right into it. Steeling myself, I went with my aunt to the hospital. There, I saw Mia covered in yellow fur, her hands and feet tied firmly to the hospital bed. She was letting out screeching, monkey-like cries. Her nails were long and sharp, not like human nails at all, more like a monster's claws. She was scratching herself, tearing her blankets and clothes to shreds, leaving bloody marks all over her own body. The relatives were horrified. What happened? Mia was a perfectly fine young girl just a few months ago. How did she become? Oh my goodness. This is a tragedy. But even in this state, Mia was clutching a rice cake in her hand. My aunt wiped her tears, pried the rice cake from Mia's hand, and offered it to me. Sarah, your cousin saved this for you. See, even when she's not in her right mind, she still remembers you love the egg yolk ones. Just take one bite. Do it for your cousin's sake. I was about to lose it. Why was it always the rice cakes? If you're going to trick me, at least come up with a better plan. But I could only complain in my head. With so many people watching, I had to protect my reputation. The moment I took the rice cake from my aunt, I felt the A023's voice in my head become a little clearer. Maybe if I maintained physical contact with my aunt, I could fully wake it up? I immediately grabbed her hand, big tears splashing onto her skin. Aunt Carol, you said Mia was fine just a few days ago. How did this happen so suddenly? Did the doctors say what's wrong with her? I rambled on, annoying my aunt until she said impatiently, Sarah, you rushed over here with me. You barely ate anything. You should eat this rice cake to tide you over. I held on to her hand, trying to stall for more time. Suddenly, a familiar voice rang in my head. Ding. System activation successful. Congratulations, host, on acquiring the double damage reflection power-up. Enjoy. The system had arrived just in time. I confidently took a bite of the rice cake. I had to admit, it tasted good, and I really was hungry. I finished the whole thing in a few bites. My aunt watched me eat it, her eyes gleaming. She rushed to Mia's bedside, expecting her daughter to get better while I took her place, suffering and dying. But the outcome was destined to disappoint her. Beep, beep, beep. The heart monitor next to Mia's bed let out a long, flat tone. Doctors and nurses rushed into the room. Mia was dead. My aunt went insane. She grabbed my shoulders, her eyes bloodshot. Why? Why didn't it work? It was supposed to be you. You were supposed to die. Why did your bitch of a mother get to be rich while my husband and I were poor and struggling? Why is my daughter as dumb as a pig while you little bitch, are a genius? Is that fair? It's not fair. They told me it was fate, that I had to accept my lot in life. But I refused. I successfully swapped fates with your mother, and my daughter was supposed to swap with you. If you die, my daughter will definitely come back to life. My aunt charged at me with a sharp knife, but I didn't move. She has a knife. She's going to kill her. The crowd scattered, leaving me standing there, not flinching, not moving. My aunt's knife plunged into my chest. Blood gushed out, but I felt no pain. And just as quickly, the wound on my body healed, and an identical bone-deep stab wound appeared on both my aunt and uncle. My aunt and uncle coughed up blood and collapsed. My aunt stared at me with crimson eyes, in utter disbelief. How could you? I crouched down to look at the two of them, pathetic and defeated, and felt a real sense of satisfaction. Aunt Carol, that life-swapping power-up was pretty useful, wasn't it? But I think I like my reflection power-up even better. My aunt clawed at the floor, leaving 10 bloody streaks on the tiles before she, too, died. A 023 altered everyone's memories, making them believe my aunt and uncle had taken their own lives, unable to cope with their daughter's death. I sold the old house and moved to Beijing with my little monkey. That golden September, I stepped onto the campus of the university I had dreamed of for 2 lifetimes. Everything was as perfect as I had imagined. Except for when a classmate would ask me why I didn't eat rice cakes during the holidays, and I would fall silent. The end.